On a typical Friday afternoon in Windham, Maine, the sun shone brightly over quiet neighborhoods and tree-lined streets. The air was filled with the sounds of laughter, distant lawnmowers, and the gentle hum of cars passing by. It was the kind of day that made you feel safe, where the biggest worry was what to have for dinner or how to spend the last hours of summer vacation. But in an instant, that peace was shattered by sudden violence, sending shockwaves through the heart of the community. People who had been chatting on sidewalks or running errands froze in disbelief as chaos erupted around them. It was August 15, 2025, just before 2 p.m. Route 302, usually bustling with families heading to the lake, shoppers picking up groceries, and teens grabbing ice cream, was alive with the energy of a town looking forward to the weekend. Suddenly, the ordinary was interrupted. Gunshots rang out at the intersection with Landing Road, echoing off storefronts and shattering the afternoon calm. In a matter of seconds, everything changed. Confusion turned to horror as a motorcyclist, caught in the crossfire of an unthinkable act, was struck twice by gunfire. He collapsed in the street, his summer ride ending in tragedy as bystanders rushed to help, their faces etched with fear and disbelief. The attack was swift and public, transforming a familiar crossroads into a crime scene in seconds. Police tape fluttered in the breeze, marking off a place that, just moments before, had been part of everyday life. Sirens replaced the hum of traffic as emergency crews rushed in, their flashing lights painting the street in red and blue. The normal rhythm of the town was replaced by urgency and fear. Neighbors gathered in small groups, comforting each other and searching for answers. The community's sense of safety evaporated, replaced by anxiety and a growing sense of vulnerability. The victim, who had set out for a simple summer ride, was left critically wounded on the pavement. Paramedics worked desperately to stabilize him, as the reality of what had happened began to sink in for everyone watching. Meanwhile, the shooter sped away, vanishing into the chaos and leaving behind a scene of confusion, fear, and unanswered questions. What began as an ordinary day now spiraled into a crisis, gripping Windham and the entire state with fear and uncertainty. Rumors spread quickly, and the sense of shock was palpable in every conversation, every worried glance. The town's focus shifted instantly from daily life to survival, as residents waited anxiously for answers. Parents held their children close, and families peered out from behind curtains, wondering if it was safe to step outside. As dusk settled over Route 302, the police presence remained, and the community gathered in quiet vigils, united by grief and uncertainty. The story of Route 302's dark turn was just beginning, with a shaken town holding its breath, desperate to understand what would come next. In the aftermath, chaos erupted at the intersection. Bystanders rushed to help the fallen motorcyclist, but despite their efforts, he died at the scene. 911 calls flooded in, painting a grim picture for first responders. Police and medics arrived to a scene of shock and disbelief, quickly securing the area and managing crowds. The shooter had vanished, triggering a wave of fear and a massive law enforcement response. Officers scrambled to gather witness accounts and descriptions of the suspect and vehicle. The manhunt began immediately, every minute critical as the suspect remained at large. News of the shooting spread rapidly, amplifying the community's alarm. Route 302, once bustling, was now a somber crime scene, its normalcy shattered and the danger still looming. Armed with a vehicle description, police launched a region-wide search. A command post sprang up near the scene, coordinating a multi-agency manhunt. The search perimeter expanded from North Windham into Raymond, with officers patrolling every road and neighborhood. Maine State Police joined local forces, pooling resources and expertise. Officers methodically followed leads, sharing real-time updates and tightening the net. Patrol cars and roadblocks became a constant presence, signaling the gravity of the threat. Residents watched anxiously as their town transformed into the epicenter of a major police operation. The community's sense of security was gone, replaced by tense anticipation. The search was relentless. Success meant restoring safety to Windham. As the manhunt intensified, authorities issued a shelter-in-place order around 4 p.m., sending a ripple of urgency through the community. The news spread quickly, with emergency alerts lighting up phones and radios, and neighbors calling each other to make sure everyone was aware. Residents and businesses along Route 302, from Raymond to Whitebridge Road, were told to lock doors and stay inside. The familiar routines of daily life, errands, commutes, and evening walks, were abruptly put on hold as people scrambled to secure their homes and check on loved ones. The usually busy corridor fell silent, its freedom of movement suspended for safety. Streets that just hours before bustled with cars and pedestrians now stood empty, echoing with an uneasy quiet that settled over the town. Families huddled indoors, seeking updates and reassurance as anxiety grew. Parents tried to comfort children, while adults exchanged worried glances, glued to news broadcasts and social media for any sign of resolution. Major retailers and restaurants shut down, with employees and customers sheltering together in tense uncertainty. Parking lots that were usually full sat deserted, and the hum of commerce faded into silence. The economic heartbeat of the area paused, safety taking precedence over commerce. Shop owners worried about their livelihoods, but knew that protecting lives was the only priority that mattered in that moment. Streets emptied, the lockdown creating an eerie stillness. The familiar sounds of laughter, conversation, and traffic were replaced by the distant hum of police radios and the occasional bark of a dog. Compliance was high, residents understood the seriousness and stayed put. Windows that once framed daily life now revealed only the quiet tension of waiting, as people peered out from behind curtains, hoping for reassurance. This collective action minimized risk and allowed police to focus on the search. Officers methodically swept through neighborhoods, their presence a reminder of both the threat and the community's resolve to stay safe. The community waited, united in hope and apprehension, longing for news that the danger had passed and life could return to normal. In moments of crisis, every second counts. To warn the public as quickly as possible, authorities turned to the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, a tool designed to reach thousands in an instant, cutting through the noise of daily life with urgent clarity. This system, used for everything from severe weather to missing persons, now carried a far more chilling message. Phones across the region buzzed and lit up, delivering a stark warning. Gunmen at large in North Windham. Shelter indoors, lock doors. The message was brief, but its impact was immediate and profound, sending a ripple of anxiety through the community. However, due to a technical glitch, the alert was broadcast not just to those in immediate danger, but to people all across Maine. Residents in towns far from Windham and Raymond suddenly found themselves on edge, unsure if the threat was near their own homes. The error, while alarming, had an unexpected effect. It brought the unfolding crisis to the attention of the entire state. Families gathered around televisions and radios, neighbors checked in on each other, and a sense of shared concern began to spread. Almost instantly, social media platforms and news websites were flooded with posts, updates, and questions. People shared the alert, speculated about the situation, and tried to piece together what was happening. The digital world became a lifeline for information and reassurance. For those living within the lockdown zone, the alert was a sobering reminder of the seriousness of the threat. Families huddled together, blinds drawn, listening for updates and waiting for the all clear. The sense of vulnerability was palpable, but so was the determination to stay safe. Residents responded quickly and responsibly, locking doors, turning off lights, and reporting anything unusual to the authorities. Many called friends and relatives to make sure they were safe, while others kept a watchful eye on their neighborhoods. This widespread cooperation allowed law enforcement to focus their efforts on the manhunt, knowing the public was doing its part to minimize risk and provide valuable tips. Despite the initial confusion caused by the glitch, the alert ultimately heightened awareness and kept safety at the forefront of everyone's minds. News anchors provided constant updates, and the community stayed vigilant. The public's swift and organized response was crucial. Tips poured in, volunteers offered assistance, and a network of support formed almost overnight, helping authorities manage the rapidly evolving situation. Through it all, one message rang clear. Vigilance, unity, and a willingness to help one another were the keys to weathering the crisis, until the threat had finally passed. Law enforcement turned to technology for an edge in the search. A police helicopter circled overhead, scanning woods, fields, and neighborhoods from above. Drones provided close-up views of hard-to-reach areas, streaming live video to the command post. These tools allowed officers to cover more ground and adapt quickly to new leads. The mobile command center coordinated aerial and ground efforts, sharing real-time intelligence. technology and traditional policing worked hand in hand, maximizing safety and efficiency. Officers on the ground followed up on tips, while aerial units guided their movements. This blend of innovation and determination drove the manhunt forward. Hours into the search, a breakthrough changed everything. A deputy spotted the suspect's vehicle at a Dunkin' on Route 302 in Raymond. Police converged, relocating the command center and locking down the area. A tight perimeter was set, and tension mounted as officers prepared for a possible confrontation. With the vehicle found, the search became focused and tactical. Soon after, authorities announced the suspect had been located, ending the hours-long manhunt. Relief swept through the community as the immediate threat was neutralized. The discovery at Dunkin' marked the turning point, allowing Windham to begin its recovery. Shortly after 7 p.m., the shelter-in-place order was lifted. Residents emerged, relieved to reclaim their streets and reconnect with neighbors. At a press conference, police confirmed the suspect was found, and there was no further threat. Details remained scarce as the investigation continued, but the crisis was over. Authorities urged anyone with information to come forward, emphasizing the community's role in finding answers. The focus shifted from fear to healing as Windham began to process the day's trauma. Law enforcement's work continued, but for residents, safety had finally returned. The town could now look forward, united in relief and resolve. Windham, a town of 18,000, is known for its lakes and quiet charm, not violence. The shooting shattered that peace, leaving residents shocked and searching for answers. In the days ahead, the community will grapple with grief and seek understanding. Police will work tirelessly to uncover the motive and deliver justice. The investigation will be thorough, but healing will take time. Windham's strength lies in its resilience and unity. The events of August 15th will not be forgotten, but the town will move forward, together. As normalcy returns, Windham will reaffirm the bonds that make it home.